The next section of the PFEP that we're going to discuss is accessibility, and we're going to click on it now. In this section, you're going to describe how you ensure parents and families in four special categories are able to fully participate in school meetings by specific strategy processes that you have in place to remove barriers that hinders parents participation in your school activities. The first category is parents and families with limited English proficiency. Again, you're going to describe the process that you have in school to help families, the parents and families that are limited English proficiency. So this looks a little bit different than last year's PFEP. Instead of having columns, you have rows. In the first question, 1A, you are going to describe your process and procedures. And in 1B, you're going to list the evidence of how you document the accommodations that you made for these families. Um, in the help button right up here, you're going to see some sample evidences that you can upload, that you can provide as evidence of the accommodations for these types of families. For example, the translated compacts, the PFEP summaries in all languages, flyers in all languages, any letters or notes that you send home in all languages, sign-in sheets, conference notes where the translators were present. These are sample evidences of how you accommodated families with English proficiency. In question number 2, you are going, it addresses parents and families with disability. In 2A, you are going to describe the process of how you made remove barriers for parents and families that are disabled, how you are removing those barriers so that they're able to participate in school activities in their child's education. And then 1B, you're going to list the evidences that show how you made those accommodations. Again, in the help button, you see some sample evidences that would be acceptable. Photos of your staff providing support for parents who may be vision or hearing impaired. Sign-in sheets where the vision and hearing support was provided. Photos of your handicap parking ramps, seating, elevators, audio enhancement, etc. For category number 3, families engaged in migratory work. And 3A, you're going to describe your school process of what you implement, what activities, strategies you have in place to remove barriers for these families' participation. And number 3B, you're going to list the evidences that you will be able to upload uh, as example of how you provided those accommodations. Again, in the help button, number 3, you see samples of how of evidences you can provide that would be acceptable. And the last category is families experiencing homelessness. You will describe in 4B your processes for removing barriers for families experiencing homelessness and accommodations you have in place to help them be part of their child's education and be engaged. And in 4B, you're going to list evidences that you will upload um, based on your description. And again, in the help button, number 4, you see sample responses of evidences that you can upload that would be acceptable. In this particular section, um, if you do not have families that might be homeless at your school or engage in migratory work or that are disabled, you still need to have a plan of action in place for these type of families that might come to your school. So having a blank response or NA would not be an acceptable response. You would have to put in your description what is your plan for these type of families if they come to your school, and what evidences you would be able to provide, some forms or flyers, some information that you would share for these families. And then, so this is accessibility. And then the last section that we have in your PFEP is other activities. In this particular section, you are going to add any special activities or events at your school that you want to highlight, that are effective and great parent activities that gets a lot of people to attend. Any activities that you want to celebrate and showcase that you have in place at your school. So you have the opportunity of adding 3 activities. And just as a reminder, that Title I funds cannot be used for activities in this particular section. So something else I wanted to discuss or talk about is the if you want to include that particular response in your PFEP summary, you would just click on the include in PFEP button. So in the accessibility section, this would be one that I would strongly recommend to have all of these as part of your PFEP summary. This is one of the sections in the PFEP that the state would look at closely because they really focus on how of engaging families in their child's education. So this particular section is pretty important. So this concludes all the sections of the PFEP. If you have any questions or need additional support in completing these section of your PFEP, please reach out to one of us to support you in this implementation. Thank you so much for your attendance and your participation, and have a wonderful day.